Hello and welcome everybody to Merlini's Mailbag episode 11. And the weekly mailbag is a show that I do every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time to answer people's questions. And the question this week is to stack or not to stack. And not the creep type of stacking, more friend stacking. And in general, this will be tips to improving your Dota play. So the title of the email that I received was questions in regards to being a newbie. And the body contained, hey, newcomer to your stream and general newcomer to Dota 2. I've recently started playing and most of my friends are higher skilled than I. In your opinion, is there benefit to playing with them or should I play at my level? And this leads us to the broader topic of how do I to improve? And the three questions are how and what should I play in regards to heroes, style, game modes, what should I watch, whether it be professional replays, streamers, or your own replays, and how do I learn? So the first question is how and what should I play? And to answer the original question, should I stack with friends? I don't think that you should queue with friends that are way better than you all the time. And why do I say this? It's because when you play with friends that are way better than you, oftentimes you just try to minimize death and not suck as much as possible. But unfortunately, this doesn't really improve on your skills necessary to become a better Dota player. You just try to not suck and not die, and that's not dying is one of many things in Dota that you should try and be improving on from game to game. And when you rely on your friends to carry you, again, you just try it and not suck as much as possible. If you ever watch Perion Flex's guide on playing the better players, the sentiments that he expresses there are pretty spot on. So what can you do instead of playing with friends that can just carry the shit out of you? So you should either solo queue or you should queue with friends that are same skill level or around the same skill level as you. So the way the general skill for Dota works is I think it's right skewed, which means that there's a larger percentage of players on the left side of the curve, left side being the lesser skilled side of the curve, and towards you as you go towards the top, it tapers off. So in general, most people will fall in this very large lump and not closest very small taper towards the end. And for the middle 99% of people that play Dota, you're gonna find people that play around the same skill as you when you matchmake most of the time. If you get close to the fringes, maybe you'll find way lesser skilled opponents, but in general you should be matched up against people that are very similar skilled to you. And I think that Valve's matchmaking system is actually pretty decent on this end. The hidden MMR rating that they have is probably fairly accurate after 100 or so games, and unless you're searching at a ridiculous hour, searching ridiculous game mode, for example least played on US East at 6 a.m. in the morning, and your search bar will fill all the way up, most of the time if you queue normal modes, normal time, you'll be matched up against people around your skill level. So why is this important? This is important because you can actually try and outplay people and outsmart people, because when you queue with someone who is way better than you, let's say they're 1000 rating, you're 0 rating, the way the Valve matchmaking system works is that you don't actually get matched up against two players that are 500 or 5. You get matched up somewhere around the higher range. They actually thought it was fair at the start to match 1,000 and a 0 rated player against two 500s, but it didn't actually turn out like that. The 1,000 and the 0 would just win way more often than they should have. So they actually matched, I believe, probably closer to 800 or 850, let's say. So this 0 rated player, if he lanes against one of these 800 to 850, he's just going to get massacred, whether it be in the 2v2 lane, a triple lane, or any other lane. He's just going to get owned most of the time. So you can't actually take any skirmishes that you would normally take on in a solo queue game. And I think you'll actually learn a lot from these small skirmishes, 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, and you can try and improve on your play like that. And you can actually outsmart and outplay your opponent. When you get carried, you can't do that. The players are just way better than you. If you go in, you'll just die. So you just stick around with your team and try and overpower them with numbers. And it doesn't really take that much skill to win a 4v2 fight or a 5v3 fight. You're just overpowering them with numbers, nothing special, and you don't really learn anything besides, hey, more numbers equals better chances of me winning a fight. So when you actually get to these even matchups and even fights, you have to rely on your wits and your skill to beat the opponents and to kill them. And that's where I really think people learn a lot from Dota. Like by comparison, when you're just like a support getting carried by a friend, you just like run around the map doing nothing, and then when they take these like really big engagements, you oftentimes just die, and then you just watch the fight. So, and then at the end of the game, you're like, well, did I really do anything to contribute to the victory? Not really. I just didn't suck super hard, and you don't really feel like you won it. You learn anything from that game, although it is nice winning. Most people's aims to play are to get better. So when you solo queue, also you have to adapt to your own teammates' playstyles as well as your opponents. I play with like the fairly small pool of people, and I generally know how they play. Like Felony I can usually count on him to like roam around and be aggressive and try and fight all the time. Or like Bisa, if I leave him alone with like 20 minutes on PL safe farming the safe lane, he's probably going to carry because he's a very reliable farmer. So like when you are immersed in these like different situations with four random players that you've never met before, you have to adapt it around their play style. And I think that's one of the most important parts about playing Dota is being able to adapt to play styles, whether it be your own teammates or the opponents. Most of the time, it's just versus opponents. Like if they play really aggressively, you want to be there to counter gank and try and overpower them with numbers or have wards so that you see them coming and can prepare accordingly. Or if they play passively, you really have to tone up the aggression so you can lock down their farmers. And this is something that you have to struggle with from game to game, and every game is different. You rarely have all the same 10 players, and even if you do, the lineups are almost completely different, especially in matchmaking. So once you are exposed to all these different situations, you can learn more and more about the game and become a better player. As far as the modes, I recommend randoming or playing AR for newer players just so you know what every hero does and have a general idea of what all the roles do. And you've played it yourself, so you can actually learn more about it instead of just like, oh, I think supports are just supposed to not die and ward. But there's a lot more to being support than just doing those two simple things. So once you actually play them, you'll realize like the nuances and the specifics of all these different roles. And after that, you can figure out what you like, and if you really like playing support, you can just play supports every game instead of randoming. Back when I started playing Dota, which was 2005, 2006 area, there was only pretty much AR and AP. There was no random draft, no single draft, none of those back then. So I would just play all random all the time, and if I repicked, I would take a heavy gold penalty, and I would be on a lower, like a uneven starting field compared to other players. And there was no swap back then, so I'd usually just stick with whatever hero I played, whether I knew it or not, and I would just try and play and learn what am I supposed to do with this hero, what is this hero's strengths, what are their weaknesses, what am I supposed to do at this point in the game. And eventually I started playing every single hero, and I played every hero once, and then like maybe a couple months later I played every hero at least twice, and then I figured out what all the items do, what all the heroes do, what are good matchups and what aren't good matchups. And once you just start getting a lot of games under your belt, then you really start to learn and love Dota. So the next question is, what should I watch? So the three main things that people watch are professional replays or professional games live, streams such as myself or Sing Sing or whoever you like to watch, or watching your own replays. And I used to watch my own replays very rarely way back in the day, and I would only do it when I had no fucking clue what just happened. Like, this guy just pops out with, like, let's say Bat Rider, or this guy pops out, like, 10 minutes with a Blink Dagger and Tranquil Boots and a bottle. I'm like, what just happened? How did Bat Rider get this ridiculous farm and all these levels? Like, because people might not know about jungling Bat Rider, right? And you watch the replay, you're like, oh, okay, I see how we do this, and you can like prepare yourself for next time. Or like, why did we lose this game? I thought we had like a 15k gold advantage, and we just lost this big team fight. They took down like 5 of our towers, and then they just did Roshan, and they pushed our T3, and then we just lost. And you thought you had this like huge advantage in the game, and then next thing you know, you're back in the lobby just because you lost. You're like, what just happened? So you can watch the replay and see what happened. Maybe there's this guy AFK farming the jungle again, maybe like a Bat Rider or whatever hero it may be, and like he's just like stacking, doing all this like crazy ridiculous stuff and getting all this huge farm when this 15k lead that you thought you had was only 5k. Or I don't know, there's a lot of small things that go on in the game that you might not know just because you're so busy doing your own thing. Or they just like sneak this Roshan, and you're like, wow, why didn't I see that coming? And you just need to figuring out what went wrong in the game. And a lot of people don't know why they lost this fight, or why they lost this game, or why they lost this lane. And if you don't know, you should watch a replay. And if you still can't figure it out from there, you should probably ask someone who's more knowledgeable at Dota than you. And once you identify the mistakes, you can learn from them. You can't learn from mistakes if you don't know what went wrong in the first place. So first step is identifying the mistakes and then learning from them. But I would definitely encourage playing a lot as opposed to like watching a lot. I think people learn way more from playing than from watching, so maybe a healthy mix of both would be ideal. And the last one is, how do I learn? And this is more for like mentality and attitude. So I think one of the most important things, and I've echoed this sentiment before, is having a healthy mentality and a positive attitude. And this is not only for yourself, it's for your teammates as well, and your friends if you're playing with them. Because if you have this like lean lineup that you deem crappy, like Void, AM, and 3 other agility heroes, you can either go in like, oh man, we're so going to lose. Our lineup is so crappy. We have 5 carries and they're all so farm dependent and we won't be able to do anything and we're probably going to lose in 25 minutes. You're already starting off on the wrong foot. You're demoralizing your team. You're not giving anyone a chance, and you're just going with this like defeatist attitude, and you're like, well, we're just going to lose, and you just like do your thing, and you know, it's just not any fun. It's not any fun for you. It's not any fun for your team. But if you're like, oh, you know, we have this 5 agility lineup, at least we'll have late game, and you know, we have 2 blinkers, faceless void, and AM, so we'll be like relatively difficult to kill, and we have pretty good chase potential. And yeah, sure, we might suffer like the first 5-10 minutes of the game because we have 5 melee agility, but you know, maybe we can use our skill set together. We can get like PA to build a Vlads and a drums for our team, and then we can do Roshan early. And you might have to like use all your ultimates on one person as opposed to, you know, trying to spread them out throughout the fight. But whatever the case is, you're forced in this like unusual situation, and you're trying to win with it and make it work and be adaptive. And I think that's how you learn from Dota, is learning from different situations and immersing yourself in all these different roles and heroes, and just learning more about the game. And this way you can improve your fundamentals, you can be more adaptive, you can improve on all the things that make better Dota players better. So Purchase Guide, his really popular one, is Welcome to Dota, You Suck. And why is it called Welcome to Dota, You Suck? Well, the reason why is because a lot of people think that they are way better at Dota than they actually are. And if you go in with this like high and mighty mentality, oh, I'm way better than you guys, which is actually usually not the case, especially when you solo queue. You're like, oh, well, I'm way better than you guys. There's nothing I've done wrong this game, and every call and decision and timing of my spells, everything that I do is just correct. And if we lost this fight or lost this game, it's not because of me, it's because of my teammates. And it's like, oh, you know, you shitty support, you didn't disrupt me at this time, or you know, we should have had wards out of this place. You can always blame your teammates, but you're not going to get any better by doing that. And this is where a lot of issues stem from. People think they're way better than they actually are, and that means that they think they're incapable of making errors, and they don't have any blame that rests on their shoulders. And again, first you need to identify the mistakes, and then you can learn from them. If you think you are incapable of making any sort of error, then you aren't going to learn from your mistakes at all. So first off, you need to be very cognizant of your own skill level. And where am I in Dota? I just started out. You're probably not the best player. You're probably, I don't know, maybe like somewhere in the bottom like 20th percentile, which is fine. Everyone was there at one point. I was a newbie at once, Denny was a newbie at once. Everyone's a newbie. You start out sometime and you aren't the best player, and that's okay. So just be cognizant of your own skill level, and then once you realize, okay, I know I'm not good and I'm really trying to improve, so where did I mess up and how can I learn from these? That's the kind of attitude that you want. And also, people get really upset over losses, and raging is quite a common thing in these sort of things. People rage at their teammates, rage at whatever, but you're supposed to lose half your games whenever, like, it's a zero-sum thing, right? If someone wins and someone else loses, so you're going to lose half your games, and you don't want to be upset at every loss that happens, because you're going to lose a lot, and I lose a lot, and everyone's lost a lot, and that's just part of Dota. So losing is okay, and everyone making mistakes is also okay, because no one's perfect. So just take a step back and, you know, breathe, take it easy a little bit. Okay, well, you know, I might have not played the best that game, and I know I made these mistakes, but that's okay. I made mistakes. I'm only human, you're only human, and just try and learn from them and improve and have fun. So all these things are like irrespective of having fun. If you solo kill all the time and you think that's miserable, then yeah, by all means just play with friends. But that's the most important part of playing Dota, and just make sure that you do whatever you can to have fun. Whether it be like playing with friends that are way better than you, or learning from your mistakes and just becoming awesome so that you can own people. Just try and have fun, and I highly encourage trying new things. But again, Dota's a game, and point of games is to enjoy yourself, have fun, be social. So keep those in mind when you play. And that concludes my guide on, I think it's how do I to improve. But thanks everybody for watching. I'll be back next week for more mailbag.